Welcome everyone to episode 11. Episode 11 of the podcast that we have, name yet to be revealed.
We'll have you up next week.
Big details coming soon regarding it, but for now it's been uploaded onto Anto's YouTube channel and also onto his Instagram at TMax. So anyways, without me boring ears, welcome.
They're probably realising why we have Ross Edgley's love child. Right, everyone? Well, do you know what? Daragh, you introduce yourself to everyone. We are with an elite band now. Listen to this man very wisely.
So, my name is Daragh Morgan. One of my big things is open water sea swimming. That's kind of a love of mine. And the next challenge that I have is to swim 190k. So that's basically from Waterford to Dublin. And this will take a lot of effort, and I'm just going through that. And I've done a few things that we'll go through with the lads in the past.
Yeah, you heard that correct. It's 190, not 19. This man's a 190k swim.
And you did hear that right, from Waterford to Dublin.
It's not just low rock like us. We do 1 kilometre.
No one knew.
But no, the main reason we're getting Daragh on is because he's like us, ambitious. He wants to go out and challenge things. And as you said around the corner, you love adventurous.
Yeah.
Adventurous things is what you love. And there's a lot of people in this. We only chatting when we met with Daragh today after our swim. There's a lot of people in this country that are doing great things, whether it's for charity or whether it's for their own self, or just trying to recognise a sport or a certain aspect, and they don't get the recognition they deserve. So we got on to Daragh. We knew you. Daragh always talks highly of it. Shout out to Daragh Moore. He's all know who he is by now. But there's people like Daragh who are out there, and we're going to try to get them all on. There's people who are even abroad who are doing it. But these people need recognition.
They deserve recognition, especially because even with doing triathlons or even swimming, it's not a very recognised sport. Fair enough, you can talk about professional footballers and talk about MMA fighters, but in sports like this, they don't get the recognition that they deserve.
No, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
And that kind of relates back to our 5th episode about respecting the triathlete.
Yeah.
How there's a lot of work that goes into it, but there's not an awful lot of recognition put into it. You probably noticed that yourself by now.
Yeah.
So
And you all have one thing in common. They're all mad cults. And you know by now we are a bit mad. So we're going to get these people on. So it's a pleasure and we appreciate you for coming on. So thank you very much.
Thanks a million for having me.
yeah, so basically we just have a couple of questions, just kind of going to get to know Daragh and kind of what he's about. And I'm hoping after this episode we're going to kind of find out everything, not everything about you. We're not going to find out your PPS number.
Well, I thought you knew that.
On the way here we knew everything about that. What do you have for breakfast? That Greek yogurt you had as well.
So just kind of, so to start the first question, so what sports did you do like when you were a kid, like, and kind of?
So growing up, boxing would have been one of my biggest sports growing up. Obviously I did a bit of swimming, nothing competitively, but just swimming kind of on the side. But boxing was the sport for me. It was literally everything for me. I used to live, breathe, eat it, you know what I mean? That was it. And literally I didn't really care about school, didn't care about that, and just all I cared about was boxing and winning and training.
And how did you get on in the boxing league? So where
I got on good now. Like I would have been a good kind of, when I was younger. I was very good, and then people started to kind of take me over in terms of height. You know, when people reach puberty, I didn't really grow as much as others.
Yeah,
It's like yourself.
look.
Exactly. But so that kind of hampered me, because my style was a lot come forward, aggression, and when I was bigger than them, it was a lot easier for me. And then it kind of switched, and I had to kind of deal with that. And then obviously boxing kind of changes as well when you get older and stuff. So I was a really good kind of youth, like 13, 14, 15, and then I started to kind of struggle with it. But I'd always, I was the best trainer. I knew myself, and it's not cocky, but it was the best trainer in the club. Every single day I'd show up, I'd be running at like 4 o'clock in the morning before school. Just, I had a military based, basically, attitude to it and a lifestyle. Do you know, like every morning without fail, 6 o'clock in the morning I get up for a jog and go to school, then go training, and all my nutrition, like throughout school, even when I was 13, was like bang on key. And it was just, and it was an obsessive, and we'll go into that, and it kind of, I did that for a while, and then, sometimes when you overdo things, you kind of get sick of it a bit, So.
Would you say now, I know we'll get into it, but you say you carried that mentality through to now?
Yeah, well, I definitely think, I even find boxing it's not about, even from kind of training people myself, like young lads and stuff, it's not about the lads who have made it now, do you know what I mean? It's about the lads who are crazy coming in and are now channeling basically the essence of what boxing is: hard work, dedication. You're not going to get any free rides, and translating that into life. So they might be going to college, they might be, you know, in a personal training course, whatever, but they're channeling that in the right direction. The key principles of boxing, and that for me, that's the beauty of boxing, and that's what I took from boxing. I knew I wasn't, at a certain stage you start to know that you're not ever going to say, like, go to the Olympics or be professional, but I know that I can carry these key principles that I've learned. Do you know what I mean?
And you know what, that's good from your own standpoint. You can be able to take a step back and reflect and say, okay, like, you're realistic about your goals. Whereas you see a lot of people like, I want to be this, I want to be that.
Very mature for your age.
Very mature.
Boxing made you mature, I'd say.
Yeah, it did.
Very mature to kind of step back and then obviously have a look at that.
Yeah.
So obviously with your boxing, obviously you were dedicated kind of going into that. So obviously, so how old were you when you finished, when you left the boxing?
About 19, 20, yeah.
And then did you go straight from the boxing straight into the swimming and the running, or how did this all
Where
start?
did you see yourself after the boxing? Did you think
after the boxing, it was kind of like, because it was my identity, you know. People used to know me as the boxer, as, you know, your man who boxed. They did, do you know what I mean? That's it. Yeah, your man.
Run around you.
Stay away from this fella. But yeah, like, that's your identity, and then when that's taken away, you kind of have a fucking identity crisis, you know what I mean? So you're like, who am I? What am I doing? Like, obviously I'd still play sport and I was still mad into my training, and just for a while then I was kind of up in the air, and then I just kind of doubled down and I was like, it's training for me, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of adventure training, it's doing different kind of things, it's setting myself mad challenges and trying to kind of achieve them. So that's
Daragh, that's some of the way people, even for yourself, this is why we do a podcast. Different characters. Mark more than Jordan, you're just adventurous.
Yeah.
This is why we love it. And anyone out there, we're come across everything that we're getting bleeding emotional about. But if you take one thing from this podcast that you learn, that's enough for us. We're learning so much from him, but if you take that one thing and you learn that, that's enough for us, and this is why we do it.
And that's what we're kind of all about, getting different characters on and looking at everyone else's insight in life. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete, down the line we'll get other kind of people on, but as long as they, like you said, get one thing from it and kind of learn a bit of life experience. I only know Daragh an hour and I'm already at to get a bit of life experience. You said the same, what did you say? The same inside
the quadrant, is it?
Yeah, what was the quadrant?
Health, wealth,
look into the camera inside.
Health, wealth, love, happiness. So basically, like, I think you look at your life as a quadrant, you know. A lot of people sometimes they overemphasize their health, they overemphasize one section, but they don't have all. And you're never really going to have all nailed on, but when you evenly distribute that, that's when you get happy balance, you know what I mean? So that's just what I was saying to the lads, blew their mind, yeah.
Oh, my health gone.
It did. And it was a really good insight when you said that. I was like, what the fuck, it's a Saturday afternoon, my head's gone. So we got into the box and everything, right? So when it comes to the swimming, the running, the cycling, how did that all start after you left the box?
Where did this come into play now, when you said, right, I'm going to go down this route?
So running was always there for me, like with the boxing. I was always good at running. I played a bit of Gaelic, I played soccer as well, and then I broke my ankle actually in a soccer match, and that was like a pivotal moment in my life, to be honest, because training, I always used training to make me feel better, to make me feel good. It was my kind of outlet and it was my zone. And then when I didn't have that, I really struggled, and I kind of had to go internal. So I started to do a lot of meditation. I started to do a lot of work like internally, and then I kind of just realised from doing that when I get back, I want to do obviously like the adventure races. I want to do the swimming. I was kind of forced into the swimming recovery wise because it wasn't heavy on the ankle. Yeah. So I was big into the pool swimming, then I got big into the sea swimming. I was a lifeguard for 2 years on a beach as well.
This fucking on?
So basically all my time on my lunch break before and then after when I worked, I just swim. just keep swimming, and the lads would be like, what the fuck, like, you know, you know what I mean? And then like I do patrols on a surfboard as well to build up my my shoulders and that. Just basically you're just piling in the water, and literally I just going back to that again. It was like a military style kind of training regime, and my recovery regime was militaristic as well. It was loads of swimming, loads of cycling, and then when I could run, then loads of running. Then
just took off.
And then it was that three: swimming, cycling, running, and that's been in my life now ever since. You know what I mean? Swimming, cycling, running.
How long has this been now since you started?
Probably about 3 years. 3 years, yeah.
And
yeah.
just a constant cycle.
Just
there.
a constant
you
cycle.
And you don't see it giving up anytime soon.
No, never. I don't think I ever will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You will still find time to fit it in the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's a mindset that I have, and I know what it does to me, and I know what it makes me. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think I could give it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And so, see, like I think you wanted to ask as well. Out of 3 sports.
Oh yeah, out of 3 sports, which one would you prefer?
Swimming, without a doubt. Swimming for me is a movement meditation. The way that I do after the first 500 meters, I'm just lost in my thoughts. It could be a song or something that's in my head. Yeah. It could be. You just see the waves coming at you. It's so different every single day out in the sea. And things you're almost like problem solving in your head. You're maybe thinking about other things, but that's what kind of meditation is anyway. It's thoughts coming in, coming out, and then I can just be present. I can look down and I'm just like, fuck, I'm swimming in the ocean here. Do you know what I mean? It's beautiful, and there's no one that can get to you. I even said to the lads there, like, I don't even go swimming with a watch or anything. It's just me and the ocean, and that's it. And there's something absolutely freeing. And no one can get to you. No one can. Do you know what I mean?
It's like that's really hit you last week because you said that, didn't you? He finds it as meditation now.
Yeah.
It's like, whereas I think we started cycling I started swimming 5 weeks ago. I couldn't swim 200 meters back, and I had this constant anxiety. And then once obviously you got the technique right, I can actually surprisingly swim now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm finding this the most relaxed now because, like you said, I'm getting into my own thoughts now. I just think about life.
Yeah.
You don't have your phone. There's no social media. I don't wear a watch myself, and it's relaxing.
It's relaxing.
You don't think about anything. I don't think about I can't, other than today because I had a bit of a cramp. Right, other than today. But like you said, when I was when I was swimming, you don't think about I can't wait for the end. I'm gonna have a coffee run. Yeah. You're just enjoying the moment for what it is.
Exactly.
And that's what I love every single bit of now. As much as like we're saying, we're trying running, we're trying cycling, I'm probably better at running than I am at swimming. But like you said, swimming's probably the favourite one.
Yeah. I'd say out of 3 would carry swimming into our routine.
100%.
Yeah. And it's great for recovery as well. Do you know what I mean? I always find like I do heavy sessions, and then I could do like my usual swim after, like a 4K swim, and I'd feel brand new then after that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I incorporate that into my recovery as well, so it kind of works. Works in that way.
But so out of all their challenges, so obviously you're saying you're doing their swimming, you're doing their cycling. What was your toughest challenge to date?
So he's done some crazy challenges. So
this is basically, so if you can name some of them, what you did, and then name their toughest.
Yeah, so I'll name a few now. So one of them was 330k cycle from Ballybunion to Dublin.
330k?
Yeah, in 2 days. I did that in 2 days. Then the other one was 190k cycle from Limerick. It was 250k cycle from Limerick, a town in Limerick called Tuam, to Dublin again. And then...
How long did that take you cycle across you?
That took me half the day, 12 hours.
What bike did you do that on?
I did that on that bike you see me. I did all the bikes.
We need to get a picture of this. Take a picture.
You watch this bike now, it's a piece of shite, but yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No punctures, no hassle.
Oh, I'll go into it now. So just listen. But then the 10k swim around Hothead.
That's your most recent.
That's my most recent, but I wouldn't say that was my most difficult. I'd say some of the training swims that I've done from Low Rock to Portmarnock have nearly been tougher. Like a lot of them were tougher than that 10k swim, and I think that's what makes it easy. You know, my training is harder than the actual. You know, when you're saying,
Just
look,
come
I'm going to
game
do
day,
that. You know,
it's
come
easy.
game day, it's
You've been
easy.
through that all, yeah.
Because I know we were just talking about Jerry Redmond. I remember I was going for a swim one morning, and I think it was April or it was freezing anyway. It was just one day it was absolutely freezing, and it was one of the first times that I started doing this route. So it's basically Low Rock to the golf links there in Portmarnock, and it was just barbaric. The weather was just like hitting you, the wind, the waves. I was honestly like touch and go when I was I was like, fucking, am I going to get out of this? You know what I mean? And then I came back and I was like, okay, I'm out now, that's grand. But I have to cycle home, so it's about a 10k cycle for me, then back. And just the wind hit me hands, no gloves, no nothing, and I was literally crying, like, you know, because it was just that painful. But then when you get in, it's just amazing. But just to, I kind of go off on tangents, but to go back to, I would say the hardest one was that 190k cycle from Limerick to Dublin, because the 330k obviously is longer. Yeah. But and I had a few mishaps on that journey as well. Right. But the 190k, I left at about, I think it was about 12 o'clock in the day, and didn't arrive in Dublin until like 12 o'clock that night. But yeah, when I left, it was all sunny. I was in a t-shirt, grand, cycling along, and just got hit with rain, like loads and loads of rain, just absolutely soaked. And then after the rain, I was like, oh, that's fucking grand. You know, like a cold wind that would literally just sapped you, you know. Yeah. So I was cycling like that for like 40k, and I was like, oh, I need to do something, you know. Like I was trying to take a drink of water and just I couldn't even clench me hand. It was that numb, you know. And me shoes were just like filled with water. And anyway, this is mad. This fella pulled up in a van, and he said, "Geez, what are you doing?" He was a traveller, like he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm cycling from Limerick to Dublin." He's like, "You mad bastard!" And he's like, "You're on the wrong road anyway." So I was cycling like up. And he was like, "You're on the wrong road. I'll give you a lift back in my van." So he threw me and the bike into the van, yeah? So his wife was at the top, and then I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna have to get changed out of these clothes, because if I keep cycling like this," so I was in the back of this fella's van, and he was tearing along the road.
Do you not even think you're going to get kidnapped? Or
no, to be honest with you, I was like, he'd be doing me a favour.
You thought you were getting whacked on the way.
Yeah. He'd be doing me a favour if he tried to kidnap me at that time. But then I was in the nick, basically, in the back of this fella's truck, yeah? And the thing fucking swaying all over, and I'm trying to like put on new gear. So got on all dry stuff, and then I had this big rain jacket, big heavy duty, just the rain would just like fall off. It had everything on me. Then when I got back on the road, I literally just hit the road like 90 and just kept going. And then it started to get dark, and then I was cycling on the roads in the dark. And then I don't know now if anyone has tried to cycle into Dublin. It's very hard to go around. You have to go through like the N7. So I was cycling on a motorway, yeah. And every time a truck would pass by, it would nearly blow me, because I had loads of stuff on the back of the bike. I don't know if you've seen one of the pictures on me on the bike. Literally had a tent, had loads of stuff, like honestly. So I had to have the wife and kids in the back and all. But it was just swaying every time I went over. So I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be knocked down. And then it was so wet that like any time a truck would come, it was like someone throwing buckets over me. But then I just got in, and I was just thinking, actually, I was like, I was kind of visualising. I was like, right, I'm gonna sit down and have a cup of tea with my mother, and then go for a shower. And that was kind of getting me through. And then I did that, and it was amazing, yeah. But that was one of the hardest. Yeah.
And see, running, what was the longest run you've ever done?
100k.
You've ran 100k?
Yeah.
This fella's ran 100k. Right?
So what gets me worried? See when he crossed the line. Grant, just that shaking hands ahead. 100k in the bag, yeah. Okay, let's go, fellas.
It's going to talk a pro, man.
Well, where you go, your
Tell us about the 100k. So how long did it take you? What was your route?
What's
your issue?
So I must give you a great shout out to one of my good friends, Kenneth O'Driscoll. So I met Kenneth when I was actually travelling around Ireland with two of my friends on horseback. So we were travelling around Ireland on horseback.
Eastwood.
How long do you have, lads? So we were travelling around Ireland on horseback, and I met Kenneth one of the first days, and I actually met him before in Sea Point swimming, and we kind of were like, we know each other, recognise each other. Did a podcast with him and kept in contact with him anyway, and he said to me, this was even before the 100k. He said to me, I'm doing a race around like Sally's Gap. So it's about 64k up the Dublin Mountains and then up the Wicklow Mountains and then back down. So it's about 64k. I said, 100% sign me up. No questions asked.
The fucking horse from
No questions asked. So I did that, and that for me was kind of like, let's see what I made of. Do you know what I mean? So I did that. And I was flying through that, and he said to me, look, the 100k, I have it organised the 12th of December. Do you want to do like the 50k relay, or do you want to do the 100k? I said, I'm doing the 100k. Do you know what I mean? I just and he had the map all planned out. So basically, he was starting off in Ballyfermot.
Yeah.
You go to, I think it was Portmarnock, and then we kind of went around by the Phoenix Park. We got all the sites in basically, and to be honest with you, we got an amazing day. And I'll just tell you, like, we were running at night. I'd say it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, and just the stars, the moon was out. It was just beautiful. It was just amazing. And you're running with a good crowd, and Ken as well is the biggest legend ever. You know what I mean? It's great running with him. Yeah, but then it was funny because there was other people doing like marathons with it. So we linked up with a group, and then linked up with another group, and me and this other fella were running, and we're like, oh right, that's 60k now in the bag. And some fella turned around and he was like, what the fuck? He was doing a marathon like he didn't know what was going on.
For no one, like obviously, like a lot of our viewers wouldn't know, a marathon is 42 kilometers. So he ran. So he ran 100 kilometers. So that's obviously double and a bit more.
Yeah.
So basically two marathons and a quarter of a marathon. No, 2.5 marathons.
You can imagine that, like, you're going and you said, right, I'm doing a marathon, and then you're at the end of it, or you're halfway through, and this one comes, I'm already 42k, you know. And you're heavy, go on, you progress.
And how long did it take you?
So it took us about 11 hours 51 minutes, and one of my friends actually won the race. Yeah, it was a proper race. He did it in 9 hours.
What pace were you doing?
I don't know.
We were doing about 5:30-ish, 5:40, I think it was. Yeah.
I don't know. What's your man doing then? Who won it? You don't know.
I don't know. It's something ridiculous.
It must be on speed.
EPO.
Yeah. Oh, it's mad. Like, but he's great. Shane Fitz Running is his name, and he's a great running page as well. If anyone.
Shane Fitz Running.
Shane Fitz Running. Yeah.
Oh, we best stalk him next week.
Yeah.
Shame, I'm going to kidnap him. You can run all you like. We don't get it.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's absolutely, like, as I said, a lot of people who were probably watching as well do a lot of running, but I've never heard of anyone in my life running 100 kilometers.
Nah, that's goggin shit, innit?
Yeah.
That's goggin shit.
It's mad, and even the way mine works after that, I was thinking, I need to go for a swim after this. Do you know what I mean? I need to get a swim in.
What?
So after that, I think it was like 3k or something.
We're gonna do our best to put a clip from going across the line. Yeah. That clip will be it, because this fella looked like he could have done another 50k. Just nice and kind.
You see, like you're saying, right? So, like, obviously you done the 100k cycle, you went off and you wanted to go for a swim.
Yeah.
But where do you get your motivation? And your like, obviously your energy, obviously that's down to nutrition, which we'll get into. But where do you get your motivation from? What is your purpose of doing this? Like, what? Like,
see, I don't think I'm motivated, to be honest. And I
seriously?
Yeah. I think I'm obsessed, and there's a difference, because you can be motivated to do something, and then something comes up, and then, you know, oh, it's raining outside, or it's this. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed about training. I'm obsessed about goals. I'm obsessed about doing this. And when you're obsessed, there's nothing that can get in your way, and that's the mindset that I have. I'm not motivated, and to be honest with you, I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but I think motivation is bullshit, because it can come and it can go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
you have to be obsessed. You have to be obsessive about a goal and about
That's,
what
I
you're
think
doing.
we've realised that as well.
That
But we're
just,
just
yeah.
obsessed about this.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
the track, because you get embedded with it, and it's all you think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, first thing you wake up after a session.
So I wouldn't say I'm motivated because it's just like we just have tunnel vision. We're just aiming towards it.
Yeah.
This day.
Yeah.
It's that's brilliant. That was an incredible point to make.
Mm.
Right?
And if in terms of like kind of what drives me, what motivates me, like to be honest with you, adventure, nature, like feeling my body in tune with the kind of like when I'm in the sea, I'm in tune with nature. I'm in tune with the sea. There's something freeing about that. Even mountain running, I love mountain running as well,
Yeah.
because you're kind of in tune as well. So that from a perspective, that I wouldn't say it motivates me, but that's another drive. and
That's another thing. Like you like seeing, you like going out, you like seeing.
Yeah,
stuff, which is
exactly. Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we only know you now, but you can see you're obsessive and you're ambitious.
yeah, yeah.
But
Definitely.
that's the way.
And that's the way to be as well. Like obviously, like we're before like I don't know, like we're gonna ramble onto something, like we're gonna kind of interrupt. So before we signed up for the triathlon, we would have like obviously we would have done our sports. We would have lifted weights going in. But
Yeah.
we enjoyed other things in life. So we would have went on the drink. We
Yeah.
would have liked meeting up with friends. But since we've signed up for the triathlon, it's nearly
It's the
become
last
it's nearly become an obsession.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a lot of things have suffered from doing this. You know?
Mm.
Well,
Like we're saying.
I don't think you suffer. I think it's only working our benefit because
It
we
is.
have.
Yeah.
We're going out on cycles early in the morning and you're seeing people come back from night out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're thinking
yeah.
ourselves,
And it's made
we love this shit.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing it. And
That's gas.
like,
Yeah.
like when we sign up for it, and like as I said, it's nearly become an obsession. Like we hate missing training.
Yeah.
We never miss training.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Like it's like you said, it's nearly become an obsession. But it has made us better people because we have an end goal and we want to focus. Because before this in my lifetime, I'm not sure about yourself. Just think about something. You have an end goal. I wouldn't give a shit. If I was on a diet, yeah, grand. Get me a Mars bar there. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to lose weight, get me a Mars bar. But
Yeah.
whereas in this kind of instance now, we're nearly kind of obsessed with.
It's funny you talk on that. Just like you're seeing people coming back from a night out. One of my really good running partners, Anthony Brady, I did the 100k with him, and I also did a 60k with him. So when we did the 100k, both of us were like, we're not really happy with our time. You know what I mean? I would have liked to do it faster.
Go again next week.
Honestly, yeah. And then Ken was organising another 60k. So we were like, right, on this 60k, we're going to put in like a burst at a nice. So we got like a 5-minute pace for 60k, which is quite good.
I like the quiet part.
But it was funny when he was collecting me, or whenever we do, and like himself in the past, he was addicted to drugs and stuff like that. And even for myself, I was living a different. And then when we come together at that time, it's like it's mad. We could be like going out, you know what I mean, coming back from a session.
Yeah.
But what are we doing? We're going and doing 60k. And to me, that's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it shows
absolutely.
growth in you as a person,
Yeah.
and it also
Totally
shows
as well.
growth in him as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like you'd rather go out on a 60k and see a bit of life instead of going to a party till 6 in the morning and being on a lovely.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not jealous at all, or
Yeah.
No.
Listen, you will find time to have
Yeah.
fun, but stuff like that where you just
Yeah.
there's no better feeling than you try it. You going from getting up really early, going out and doing something that you really love, and then when it's polished off, the day set.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then see, like, so, like, obviously, like, for you to obviously do all this kind of, all the challenges and all the obstacles, all the hard challenges you've done, obviously your lifestyle, like, because we're obviously talking about drinking and stuff like that, your lifestyle and your nutrition obviously has to be on point. So what is your lifestyle, like a day in the life of you, and what is your nutrition like? What kind of food do you eat? What, like, do you eat like a prick? Do you eat loads? Do you what do you, well, like, so what way does
By
your
the way,
lifestyle
the
go?
man is a baby. He's a truck. Like, he's a fucking truck. he's a built like a fucking fridge. Well, we seen you get out of the water. I'm like, the Glen Diane, fuck me. Not that bleeding being gay, man, but that fella was unbelievable. That fella's a bodybuilder or something as well.
Fucking semi-detached gaff going out But fucking yeah. So where does your nutrition and your lifestyle come into play?
Nutrition wise, I like to cook a lot of my own food, and that's only been recently. And I think it's for me anyway. It's vital. Like, and any of the long runs that I do, I always make my own meals. Like obviously there's times that you can't, but I try as much as possible to make all my own meals, and you can make them very nice. So I just run you through a day in my life. Is basically get up in the morning, breakfast, which will be I make my own brown bread and then poached eggs on that, and then do like a session. It's either swimming, depending on the tides, 4K swim, or a track session, or a strength and conditioning session, and then a swim obviously later on if the tides allow it. So 2 sessions a day, and that in the morning, and then in the evening then a big meal about 6. So I only eat twice a day.
But you're getting everything in.
But I'm getting everything in. But in them meal times, I allow myself to eat. I eat.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
This
Yeah.
This is the thing as well we discussed. That works for you.
Exactly.
But you only know how that works for trial and error.
Trial and
You
error,
went
yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
And everyone says there's a system how things should be done. You should be running this way, or there's a system. It doesn't. You have your own system. You need to go out and find it through trial and error. Everything works. Everything's different for everyone.
Like if a sports scientist came up to me and was kind of analysing me or whatever, they'd say, "What the fuck? Like how are you even alive? Like, do you know what I mean?" But what works for you, you need to like trial and error, like you were saying with yourself. So what works for me definitely doesn't work for you. Definitely doesn't work for you. Vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's just trial and error and seeing what happens.
You were eating your 2 meals, so like obviously, what time do you have your breakfast at? About 8, would you?
12.
So you intermittent fast, like
Basically.
so do you mean to intermittent fast?
Not really, but it just kind of ever so happens that like intermittent fast is it's a buzzword at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
You're skipping breakfast. Mate.
Yeah, you're basically skipping breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're eating 2 meals a day, and in them meals you can kind of eat. But there has been a lot of study done towards that. Kind of intermittent fasting.
And the results are different for everybody.
Yeah. Some people react really well. Some people just can't do it at all. So, what I like to do is I like to be metabolically flexible. So, if I don't eat for like a day, I can burn my fat stores. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So, like even on all my
No way
adventures,
to eat
do you know what I mean? Like I don't need to depend really on food. I can eat into myself, and a lot of people don't have that because they're basically dependent on carbohydrates because you eat every 3 hours. I have to have a meal or whatever, you know.
Would you think some people claim they're not into it because they actually haven't tried it?
Yeah, exactly.
You actually haven't gone into that zone where.
I thought you was when like kids, breakfast, lunch.
It's a societal thing. Like,
I reckon most people could do if they actually got into that zone.
Yeah,
But a lot of people are afraid to get into that zone.
Well, if you look back, I always like to look back and what were we in the past? Hunter gatherers. Do you think we got? Do you think we got a meal every?
Uber Eats.
Do you think we got a meal every 3 hours? No, we didn't. Do you know what I mean? We had to wait a while. And look, obviously, if that works for you, that's grand. But like, I think the good way to eat is actually long periods.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. You're going to be starving. But I think for me anyway, and just kind of to go back to what we were ancestrally. Do you know what I mean? It makes sense for me. You know.
Yeah. There's I don't know what you thought of Wim Hof, but he agrees that he agrees that we're living too much of a luxury life.
Oh, definitely.
Like where you straight when you're out of swim, you get all your towel on you and everything like
Yeah.
But that's another thing. You're right. We do. People have a handy on. They get a little bit. It's not even hunger. They're just bored and hungry.
No, we eat too much.
And
We
they
drink
just
too
eat.
much.
Yeah.
We're excess society. Do you know what I mean?
You were sitting in the gaff here chilling out, like, you know, like there's a nice little fig roll up in the shelf there, you know, you're like, I'm gonna take it, you know what I mean? Or a nice little Jaffa cake up there. I'm a cunt for it myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure about yourself.
No, I'm the same. Like, with one thing about boxing, which I hated, was you had to be a certain weight, you know?
And you had to cut weight.
And you had to cut weight, and it maybe you have a bad relationship with food, you know what I mean? Because you'd be drying yourself out, you wouldn't be drinking water, just mad
You look at
stuff.
food as numbers nearly.
Yeah, you look at it in numbers, and then you have a negative relationship with it. Whereas now, you know, I don't know if you find this yourself, but even when you train, you want to eat a bit healthier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After you go for a good session, you want to eat something. You're not looking at fucking a donut after a gym session. You know what I mean? You know, you're looking for a chicken fillet. You're looking for something that will fucking, you know.
That's why I was really getting the clients' heads as well. Like, you're signing up now. You're investing money into this. And you can see by them after a week or two, they actually start to think, oh, if we eat this down, I'll put on new personal training. I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're looking at food.
It's the mindset.
There's additives and all that shit food. So you're just hooked on that. So if you go like fucking a week, like let's say someone eats takeaways. If you don't eat takeaways for a week, you wouldn't be craving it. But once you don't eat it for a week, the cravings are gone.
Yeah.
So that's exactly it. But I think we're harping on a little bit about food.
Yeah.
We're just talking about food.
We love food.
Where our food is, right? So see, like your future goals.
Where do you see yourself? Yeah.
What do you have any future goals planned for yourself? Because I know you talked about
Yeah.
we were talking about the whole 190k. What other goals do you see yourself doing in the future?
Some of the main thing now, the thing what I'd love to do is swim around the whole coast of Ireland, cycle around the whole coast, and run around the whole coast. So basically the ultimate triathlon. That's 100% what I want to do. But obviously you wouldn't do it like back to back. But what I want to do is swim around Ireland, cycle around Ireland, run around Ireland. That is one thing that's been always just happening. And I think I'm going to do it. But
you have to believe it. And to be honest with you, we all know him now, but the way he talks about everything he's done in the past and what he's doing now, fully back you. Happily back you. And then, do you want to even give a shout out, because I know you're looking for certain men for a certain
so basically the swim hopefully now will start August the 1st or even earlier. We're just looking for basically anyone who can help with a boat, support team and stuff like that. We have most things sorted, but if you know of anything or anyone, and that's basically
he's looking for boats and hope.
Yeah. Looking for loads of boats.
We'll tag Daragh in, lads. Do check him out on it. He's I only know the man an hour, and we can see we're going to be following you now for the rest of your event. Definitely be linking up again. Whatever it is, we'll be swimming or whatever we'll get in.
Just obviously kind of to elaborate as well. So you have your own podcast as well.
So
what's your podcast name, and what does your podcast?
So the podcast is called A Combat Show. So it's basically initially it started off as me kind of interviewing fighters and boxers kind of, and since it's kind of evolved because I've evolved, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a vast range of things. It's interviewing people with businesses, it's interviewing people with similar mindsets, interviewing people in the health and fitness industry, stuff like that, and just basically picking their brains, like we're doing today, you know what I mean? Exactly. So but that's kind of it.
And so how long are you running that now? And
so it's been a year, I think, and I think we've 50 episodes. So
that's brilliant. Like we're saying, we're only starting this ourselves. And obviously I'd like to link in with you, and we're going to get advice kind of on how to improve it, on how to improve it as well. We can kind of buzz off each other.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about.
With that, then you're obviously going to. I'm going to assume you're going to tag his podcast.
No, definitely tag in it.
The man needs clout as well. So just another question just before we sign off. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, in terms as a person, in the sport, and just you as a whole?
Up in Donegal running.
Probably up in Donegal running. Struggling up a hill on a bike in Donegal. It's a hard question to say because I don't usually plan that far ahead. Do you know what I mean? I like to. To be honest with you, the way I see it is adventure in the 5 years. Adventure, having a business tied into what I love doing, following my passion, things like that, cooking, training, all things like that, just tied in together in 5 years. Basically to kind of hit that quadrant like we were talking about, health, wealth, love, happiness, obviously good relationship, good relationships, good friendships, all that they're the most good relationships, family, friends, etc. They're the most important things to me, and in 5 years time just to develop and strengthen them,
to be honest, even the question you asked him, just knowing Daragh an hour, I could not predict what you're going to do later on.
I don't even know what he's
But the man said what he wants to do around the world, and I fully believe what he's going to say. I'd probably say he's going to do 2 laps, but I'd still go. The man has built up this resilience and the obsession, and he's very ambitious. And honestly, delighted that we met you.
Thanks,
today.
man.
Big respect, and as I said, we're meeting like from doing these episodes, we're meeting a lot of people along the way, and then when Daragh said we were going to get you on, absolutely brilliant to have a
Yeah.
conversation, because you're kind of like you said, we're after taking a few things from what you said today. Like you're saying, it's not a motivation, it's not a session. You're after looking for performance in the mirror. So.
Yeah.
So
and as well, just to kind of sign off, I wanted to say, like, adventure for me is something that's essential. Do you know what I mean? And obviously we lack it, because in our society you're kind of hemmed in to be, oh, you can't be doing that, or you can't be cycling to.
It's too structured.
You learn a lot about yourself when you put yourself out there. The cycle on my own, stuff like that, trip around Ireland. That's where I learned about myself. I didn't learn about myself in college. I didn't learn about myself in school. Yeah. I learned about myself when all the chips are down. You're on your own. What are you made of? And a lot of people don't put themselves in positions like that.
Yeah.
And obviously it's hard, it's tough, it's barbaric at times. But once you put yourself in that position, you'll see who you are, and then you'll work on that, and it's absolutely amazing. But just for anyone that wants to.
You hit the nail on the head. It's getting. You have to. Everyone's living too comfortably. You need to get out of that comfort zone and grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just take the jump and do it.
So like, even come back to ourselves, whoever told we'd ever fucking do a triathlon, whoever think we'd even start recording videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even
It
recording
takes a lot to
content,
put yourself out there.
Exactly, and that's all it is. But thanks, guys. That was episode 11. That was Daragh. Like, again, we're gonna tag him in the video.
Do check him out, because he's an incredible person.
Not a man to mess with.
He looks at us doing the triathlon, and it's stabiliser shit for him. This man's going around the Ireland. But Daragh, we wish you the best of luck.
Thanks,
We'll be obviously staying in touch, checking you out.
And thanks very much again for coming on.
Thanks.
And brilliant stuff.
So we hope you learned a lot from this. If you did, please let us know. And don't forget what we're doing this for. Charity. Link is in the bios. Please get that up.
Like we said, this whole motive came from one thing only, was to get donations, and it just suddenly, now we have Daragh with us there.
Yeah.
But like I said, big emphasis on donations for the triathlon. The link is going to be in our bios as well. So all donations much appreciated. Now I'm going to go to the toilet, so I'll talk to you later. Really good luck.
Video will be up on the YouTube. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.